Hello, and welcome to the ultimate, I guess, part of the first round of LieMDB, where I've picked my film. Now, I know there's been some contentious ideas as to what it could be. Is it Avatar? Is it Tower Heist? This is good, and this like one of those films.
You sound like you don't fully believe that this is good.
I mean, I'll be honest, I've seen like the first 15 minutes of it. It could go to shit from there. Might do.
Does it start off well though? Then?
It does start off well, and I've heard the ending's great, so this is why I picked it. So yeah, it took like 8 years to draw, which is why Ethan thinks it's Avatar. There's like 100 different things with the same name as this thing, and yeah, that's pretty much all that Ethan had to convince himself that it was 100% Avatar. Yeah. But it's not.
Is this something that all of us know, or just you?
No, I mean, you might know. You might have all seen it.
What's the big reveal?
Well, we are going to watch the 2009 film.
I thought you were about to say something else then.
Redline. Da, 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 da. Yeah, that means nothing to you, I guess. But basically, sci-fi, really colourful Mad Max Fury Road. So I hope you all like that.
In the far future, the greatest velocity in space is decided. Every 5 years, the festival returns. Redline!
Whew. That was an experience. Oh my god, there's almost no way to explain how energetic this is. Just non-stop. It's just like adrenaline in your veins. It's just like it's all the drugs together at once. I think we're all like shocked at the majesty of this film.
God, I think we're definitely shocked. I mean, it only has 8,000 ratings on IMDb, so you can't act like we should have heard of it. It's an animation.
I'm not saying you should have heard of any of the films I'm going to do.
When was it released, Barry?
2009. Taser said that. It's an animation action romance.
I mean, I would call it a Cars film. With a sci-fi tag in there somewhere. I think that's
and put a comedy tag.
Oh my god, it's so funny. It's just constant left, right, up, down turns, one after the other. That just always build on each other. Oh my god, it's never a dull moment.
I guess that is probably true, yeah. I think about halfway through though, I was starting to think, this is Tony getting back at me because I said he'd really like 2001, even though I knew he would hate it. He's like, at the beginning he was like, this is going to be good, Ethan.
Alright, so we do a series called Animegate where we pick anime from 1 to 10. And after a while I did start thinking, has Tony accidentally got it modded around and is showing us one of his bad anime?
No, this is actually great.
Why do you like it so much?
Well,
talk us through why you picked this film.
First of all, 8 years in the making completely shows on this film.
Oh my god, I forgot that.
Every frame has something happening in it. It's always just a kinetic like series of events going back and forth, and like the characters and all the colour and the world that it sets up. Like it's this octane like drug fueled rampage of a film that still like manages to feel like it takes place in a world and like has like interesting people in it. Like the fact that it's just like the throwaway lines about Robo World and just the fact that Funky Boy. Just Funky Boy sums up everything about this film.
I will give it credit. It has some of the most outstanding foreshadowing I've ever seen, because I was certain I heard a song from Blood Sugar Sex Magic at the beginning of that film. I was like, is that Funky Monk's like it? And they bring Funky Boys later on at the end, and I'm like, Jesus, now that is great film.
It's like 3/4 of the way through the film when you think everything's going the way you expect it, and it's just Funky Boy comes out of nowhere. Yeah, the beginning race is great, and I think the the final race is even better, just even more energy in it, and it's in the middle. It sort of takes a not back foot, but it slows down to show you more about the characters and then preparing for the race, and the sort of like a back and forth about whether his teammates will betray him for the mafia, whether or not he's got informants on his team, and oh man, it's just.
Do you want to talk about the storyline though, real quick?
Well, I mean. It's basically a race in space, and if you win the yellow line or through some JP-based point system, you can get into the red line. Yeah. And there's a lot of money based on the betting, and it's set in this crazy world with crazy characters, and it's honestly like it's better to just experience.
Yeah. It's the Star Wars pod race, but on drugs.
This is watch.
Don't forget 200cc as well.
200cc. This is 350cc.
That's probably more than that, to be honest.
1000cc. This is platinum nitro cc. Oh my god. Yeah.
The odds are a lot more crazier than Saudi Arabia winning the World Cup as well. It's absolutely nuts. 25,000 to 1.
A quid on.
I mean, you might as well put.
What did two people won? What did they even do? They pay out both bets.
Just saying, like the organisation of this race was very poor. I mean, for one, like to get in, you've got to win a series of like lower tier races.
Yeah.
And for some reason, the most prestigious race. And the one that everyone like loves and bets on has no rules, but like the street races do. It's like
because it shows that this is a fucking crazy universe, a crazy galaxy.
Don't forget that the hosts.
Oh yeah, the host nation, Rogue are actively trying to kill every participant
Imagine
in
how
the
much
race.
better every sport would be if the host nation was like a third team that was coming in to like fight as well. Imagine the penalty shootouts, like a funky boy comes out, stops the ball. Oh my god! Honestly, like I've already forgotten what the other three LieMDBs were, because this is just like blowing them all out of the water, leave them in its like trailing smoke. Remember there was that like princess using magic? That was just a thing in there. It was just a bit where like the space Hitler robots were just like, damn those space wizards, and it's just a line. It's just like constant. Oh my god, it's a barrage of cool things that never gets tired of one idea. Always fucking funky boy.
Funky.
Oh my god. Funky boy out of 10.
I don't think I've ever seen animated breasts as well. That was really, really strange.
I honestly doubt that. Like, come on. I know your search history.
I've just been watching
Fat
Pixar
Titans
films my entire life.
Fat Titans.
No.
This
They
is
were
Fat
wearing
Titans,
a
the
bra,
film.
Jonathan.
People wearing
This is definitely Fat Titans.
Harley Quinn was well dressed.
I know usually I'm like against those things, but I just love that she's pointing out, they're showing my bum on TV, and the camera zooms out and she's just naked at the top.
Yes, great.
Do you know
It's a
one of
great
the
little-
contenders is having an affair with a policeman?
And
he's just
like you, girl.
I don't remember what his name was.
Oh my god, yeah. You think it would have the Fate Apocrypha? I don't know how Fate Apocrypha is our like benchmark friend. The Fate Apocrypha thing, if it introduces a bunch of characters you don't care about, but like they're always like brought back in interesting ways. like oh my god, that robot that gets stronger the more he cries. It's interesting when he's introduced and there's that fight scene. Fucking the robot that is the lead place. Oh my god, it's so good. It's just.
I was. You said you only seen the first 15 minutes,
Yeah,
and I was
right
thinking,
up
I can
until the
forgive
first
Tony
race.
for that, because the first 15 minutes are really, really good, and there's no, you just don't expect it.
I think it keeps it up. I think it keeps up a lot. Come on, when Funky Boy came in that third act, we were laughing.
Yeah, but like
That's like a Flash Gordon thing of being so bad. It's good.
No, it's not. They were like, you know what'd be crazy? Funky Boy, and they put it in. They did it. They're mad because they're from Madhouse, which is the studio behind this, I think. Absolute mad lads. Fucking legends. Oh my god, it's so good. How am I going to top this?
I don't know. Can you please do the Studio Ghibli film that I've seen next? Because
they're all in like the top 250.
when we finish watching this,
Imagine if I went through and did no Studio Ghibli films in my 4 anime picks, because I'm not going to fucking pick a live action film. It would be Tower Heist and a shit film that everyone would pick. So, you know, this is the beginning for fucking better things to come. But you know what everyone else, come on, throw in your fucking points to this melting point pot of ideas. This, like,
I was really worried that you were going
combustion
to pick
tank.
4 films just like this, and I remembered, oh wait, no, he's picked that film, and I've seen it, and I know it's good. So
Wait, which one? I can't pick North
the one that's got like 8 words in the title.
Oh no, I can't pick that one because it's in like the top 250.
Wait, really? Has it changed?
Yeah, fucking. Well, I'll sort it all out. It'll be
Okay.
fine.
Alright, so yeah, I really enjoyed this.
I'm so glad.
I think it's definitely a comedy thing, and I do believe they meant for all of the bizarreness, and I enjoy it and laughed along a lot with it, and I felt like I was laughing along with it rather than at it. It creates this ridiculous world, and I don't know, it's just great to see these larger-than-life characters as being absolutely ridiculous in a race.
Yeah. Like, I think a lot of us are fatigued after it. It's took it out of us.
I mean, the opening sequence is really good because it's like crazy and bombastic as it is. You can kind of follow it,
and
you fucking 100% lose that like towards the end of the film. In the terms that there's just a nuclear explosion and Funky Boy is fighting like some other weird demon, and then suddenly the race is just back on and it's fine.
The race was never off, Harry. In the Redline, anything goes.
Yeah, didn't you see that they were all still fine? We saw them all fine next to their cars.
There was
They
a
were just
nuclear
waiting to
blast.
get in.
Having this film established that characters are invulnerable to damage. He just can. Oh, it's the great one where he crashes in his motorbike and he flips and does like a fucking 1080 somersault in the air and he just pumps on the ground and he's just... It's great. It's larger than life, as Jonno said. Oh my god.
No, I saw the first scene and I was actually really expecting a really, really good film after, because it was very, very thrilling. It had a great hook.
It is thrilling.
And what I also liked about the opening scene where they're all racing is that every now and then it jumps to something. Then there's a brief clip where there's just complete silence, and then it goes back to that roaring kind of engine. I think that's really cool.
It knows how
Yeah.
to balance that momentum really well. It doesn't get like bored if it's not.
Yeah. With the opening bit as well, where you've got this sort of fast action racing, and then it sort of cuts to a person with a gun being pointed at his face, just calmly going,
Oh, that's
yes,
pretty
he
good.
will.
Yeah,
I
I found that stuff like really interesting, and I'm like, there's a reason people watch sports. It's because they have narratives like already, and I feel like the narrative is just the racing, and then you throw in the extra element of like, oh yeah,
Funky Boy.
yeah, he's trying. No, he's
talking about the
yeah.
romance. aren't you?
No, I'm talking about like the thing that where it keeps cutting to like, oh, he's trying to throw the race, and he's deliberately kind of like playing the odds and like trying to make money off it. I found that like really interesting. It's quite good to have like your main character like not just be generic anime kind of stoic hero who just wants to race. I thought, oh, hang on, this guy's a shit. Like this is a really interesting way of doing it. And then it basically forgets, but it keeps that plot. It keeps the kind of the interesting plot line of the race,
Screwdriver shotgun.
of the race and the kind of like the moral kind of question of like trying to throw it and everything. And then it just has all this other shit going on in the background. And I mean, the thing that really annoys me, and like I think it's definitely the worst thing about the film, is the fact that there's just a villain. Like there's just this government that just for some reason have about 4 atomic weapons that are trying to destroy the race, because you don't need it, because like racing is good. And it works on its own, and it's already so crazy, and the world it's creating is so crazy, and there's so much other crazy shit going on. You don't need it,
I think
and it definitely takes away from like the core hook of just this is about racing.
I don't know. I think a lot of people who watch racing, they're secretly hoping for a crash, right? Even though they don't want it. It's like a sport, and this is like, yeah, let's just make it about destruction and mayhem and carnage. And I think all the ridiculous stuff with Robo World, Funky Boy, and their laser cannon.
So you think Funky Boy is So when you hear that, you're laughing with it and not at it.
Yeah.
You think it's deliberately trying to be
It's got
nonsensical
space
like
Nazis with a bioweapon called Funky Boy.
I
Yeah.
don't
I mean,
know
they're in
what
Charlie
world.
Brooker
I
as well,
don't know
right?
what world you live in where you think there's some company that would be taking itself seriously and make this, and then you're like making fun of them.
No, but
Yeah.
I think it got lost in translation or something like.
If they say Funky Boy.
Yeah, I know, but
Funky
I think that they probably decided to come up with something that sounded cool and just pick Funky Boy because it does sound
so
cool.
I think,
They're not
yeah.
realising what it actually
Funky Boy
means in English.
I mean, I don't know. I'm pretty sure.
I mean, it is in
Google
English.
Translate exists in 2009. They knew what the words funky
Yeah, I
and
know,
boy meant.
but we've seen plenty of films where there have been ridiculous moments and things like that where they think they've been doing something really, really cool or awesome, and it just hasn't been the slightest.
Wait, I'm kidding.
That's okay.
Okay. But I think it's tongue in cheek. It knows what it's doing.
Yeah.
It's very controlled.
It's not controlled.
It's like
the opposite.
It's like ordered. There's a method to the madness, is what I'm trying
Yeah,
to
but
say.
it's chaos.
Like it never, ordered chaos.
And maybe if over 8 years you're looking at each individual frame as you're slowly drawing each one, it does make sense. But trying to follow it as a moving
I
picture,
think you're meant
no.
to get lost in it though. I think you're meant to just be blown away at every second. Like, I was always on the edge of my seat because as soon as I was done thinking about the last thing that happened, the next thing would just knock it out of the way.
There's only so much
like-
until it just becomes like white noise. It's kind of like how much chaos is there before you just get bored of it? And I definitely got bored of this film.
I think, well,
Yeah, no,
much as...
it's really lazy throwing in a nuclear blast and that's
Yeah, at that point the film just kind of like ends.
I think the end point is a strong point because it slows down the middle.
No, I do like the last race. I don't think it's nearly as good as the first race, but the beginning 20 minutes and the last 20 minutes are, to me, the most enjoyable, fun
Yeah,
parts of the
I think
film.
me
It's
and you
like,
think
I don't like
that.
any of the fodder in between. It's just all.
Oh, no.
I don't mind half of the fodder. I don't mind the fodder that's about the race.
What,
kind
the
of,
forced romance? Is that?
no,
what you're-
no. Obviously that's shit. But I like the WWE style like VTs like introducing all these crazy and interesting characters, and then there's just all this stuff going on with the government and like the oppressed workers and like these weird like police force. It's just I could lose about half of this and enjoy it as like maybe a half an hour kind of short film of just two races and all these wacky and zany characters. It just I think it's too much, and come on.
I think it's as dense as it wanted to be. You don't put 8 years into something and half-ass it. I think they turned it up to 125.
So is that why it's okay?
And do you know what happens when he turns up to 125?
Yeah, because
It
it's
blows
not
up.
just a background with a character that has the mouth moving. It is there's just half a second where a guy takes a beer and it's all fluid, but you just catch it almost out of the corner of your eye. But if you were to think about it, hang on, that must have taken forever.
That's
and
true.
they spared no expense to make it look as crazy as it is.
No, there definitely is. And another moment that it was a bit too full on for me, but the part where all the news reporters burst into the room right at the beginning.
Oh, that's great.
And there's so many of them.
I really like
and it's
that.
just wow. Yeah, they're all really, really well drawn, very, very detailed, and it's just quite crazy.
Because all that craziness follows the central hook of this is about racing, and then there's all the shit that isn't about it.
I think it's about.
You can have this
It's about a thrill ride, and I think racing is only one part of it because
that's the hook of the
I don't
film.
know,
That's how
but-
it opens.
Yeah, but
That's what it's
it
about.
opens also with machine guns and rockets being fired.
Yeah, in the race.
Yeah, exactly.
By racers trying to win the race. And then you just throw in all this other shit, chaotic shit which has nothing to do with it. I mean, man.
I think it's good for how crazy it is. I can see it being a bit too tame, but I mean,
I don't
some
think
people,
it's too tame.
No, as in I don't know. Some people was wanting it to be tamed, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Tamed down.
Right.
I think
Imagine if a 4-year-old person who had never seen the film before were to see this, the heart would just explode.
Yeah, possibly.
But yes, my feeling is this is a racing film that becomes different because of the craziness in it. There's a lot of
Yeah.
racing films where it's just two people competing, and then this is standing out because it's gone well. Let's just go mad with it. Let's have all this madness, and also I don't know. I guess it also gets some of the sort of uniting stuff of racing that you see a lot of people watching it, and there's this whole variety of people. There's this daughter and some older man who've come to see the races as well, and all of this, and then also had sort of involvement in larger politics and things with the country that, well, in this case, planet or empire that wants to be really closed off, and it's then being sort of shown to its true form by having a race there.
Yeah, because
I mean, I like everything, all the craziness that comes from the race. I love just like the personality of the racers, and just like even the scene where they're just interacting in the restaurant. I think that's great. Just all this other wider kind of like weird, like the fact that the world they're going on is just like trying to kill the. I didn't see the point of it. I think it detracts from like the thing that I find most interesting about the film, which is like the fucking racing.
I think while watching that, it occurred to me why I wouldn't be able to watch so much anime in one day. And it's not because it was all in your face and nasty like that.
I hope you're ready for Animediate 4 recording session right after this.
Which we recorded months ago, obviously.
I think it's because I think what really kind of I'll use the word bothers, but that's probably the wrong word. But what bothers me is the physical appearances of all the characters, and all of the facial expressions are kind of accentuated, really kind of intensely, and they pull bizarre facial expressions, and all their kind of limbs and things are out of proportion. And don't get me wrong, I admire how it's drawn. The detail is absolutely fascinating. It's like so in Spirited Away, the main villain is a witch, right? She's a perfectly good villain. She is quite good, but all of all the proportions of her body are just kind of all over the place. And when the cameras, I say it's a camera, it's not because it's all being drawn. But when it goes right up close to her, it's just kind of I just feel like my spine shivers a little bit. It's just a bit too much. Even though I have a huge amount of respect.
Yeah, I think all anime is like comes from the fact that it is proportions are exaggerated. Like the very fact that all anime characters have big eyes is because that's the first thing you look at when you look at someone. So they draw their eyes really big, and this like takes it up to 150 billion.
Exactly.
You know, it's just how the stupid things can make even like the mundane scene of someone buying cigarettes so interesting. Of how he talks to someone, they go crazy, and then they just fall asleep right after he's bought them. And it's man, those little minion things that are selling tickets that punch him in the face.
That's pretty cool.
It's more of a roller coaster than a race, you know.
Another thing that I do like about it is that it sort of reminds me actually of Borderlands in a sense, and I'm not talking about the whole craziness about it. It's the way everything is drawn. I feel like all of the outlines are very definitive, and they're quite bold, and it just has that kind of really intense comic book feel to it that I quite like with Borderlands. It definitely feels drawn, but not in a bad way at all. I really quite like that.
Yeah, it's got a nice style to it. It feels distinct from other anime styles. Yeah,
that's like the one. Like that's pretty the best thing about it.
Yeah, I mean, watching it, I am reminded of Space Dandy. Don't know which one came out when.
But yeah, those massive quiffs, man, and the villain that also has a quiff. It's great, and he wins using the quiff. Incredible. I'll look up Space Dandy while you talk.
Yeah. It's very similar to Space Dandy with the way the main character behaves and looks, and also the weird kind of space Nazi evil empire that is attacking them. That's another thing there. But yeah, it's still got a different style to it. It's more kind of, I don't know, it's weird to describe. It's more kind of papery than hyper-realistic, if it makes sense. But yeah, as Ethan said, it's more sort of cartoonish than how a lot of sort of anime films go, which is trying to be as realistic as we can.
I think you can summarize its style by saying it's funky. And also Space Dandy 2014, the main character has 1/4 the quiff that the main guy in this does.
Yes, I felt it must be after, because
an inspirational film.
Yeah, there's literally one episode of Space Dandy which is basically this film.
So I think has anyone else got any things they'd like to stab at this film?
I'd like to just say that much like when we did Silent Running, and the comparisons to 2001 were made, and I firmly said that I wouldn't like to compare the two because of differences in quality, in my opinion. I like to say that the comparisons to Mad Max Fury Road, I like to fully distance myself towards because of differences in quality.
I have not seen
just
Mad Max Fury
just
Road.
putting that on the record.
I saw cars and both of their tags, and I was like, I guess that's the same film. I mean, I hope Does Fury Road match this in how crazy like a car race can be?
But it's not about racing.
Oh, okay, but it's about cars though.
Well, it's
kind
about
of-
and again,
Well, it is kind of about racing.
yeah.
It's not really
In the
about
sense,
racing.
well, it's not
I mean,
racing, but
yeah,
they're
they
trying
have
to
time
get there
limit.
before the other.
Yeah.
So there's a time condition in which they have to reach a destination in cars.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's a race, Harry.
Yeah, it's not like a construct of like a race.
It's not an official race. There's one group of people that are being chased by another group of people. That's the only
Chase.
race.
Chase versus race. All
They're
right.
different things.
All right.
They very
all right.
rhyme.
It is.
But well, I mean, the second part changes.
Don't spoil the film.
Yeah, well, they go to school on Monday.
I mean, yeah, I wasn't going to say any
Yeah.
more, but yeah, the second part changes it. It changes up, which I don't think that's a spoiler to say
Yeah.
stuff
It
changes in the
changes up
film.
for about 5 minutes, and then it goes back into full throttle for the last like half an hour.
I mean,
when
the
they just do the exact same thing they just did, but in the other
Ethan,
direction.
you're roasting. What's
Yeah.
this game?
Yeah, I'll
Redline. By the way, there's like 100 things called Redline. It's annoying. This is the best one.
Yeah,
Redline.
why is
Roasted.
It's
I
a
haven't
good
seen
film.
it.
So what do you mean by? Are there other like remakes of
I
this, or
think
is it
it
just
might
other things
even
that
be
just have the
like
same
live
title?
action adaptations, but whenever I see Redline, there's like 100 different things with the same name, and I have
Are
to
you
sort
talking
by
about things like the Thin Red Line that has the worst?
yeah, word Redline, but also like 3 other films that are just the word Redline.
Oh,
that
right.
are either unrelated
Do you
or
imagine
adaptations.
at the end of this it was just directed by Terrence Malick? Produced by Stanley Cooper.
Oh my god, that'd actually be awesome if Terrence Malick had been on this project.
Hitchcock's last work, I think.
That's great. Well, I don't have anything else to. I've talked about why I don't like it. Well, not really, but I feel like Harry basically pretty much covered that. But I've talked about why I like it, so I don't really have much more to say apart from a rating. Although I don't want to go first.
Yeah, I do not want to go.
I think
I think me and Ethan both started at like I mean, he started at 8, I started at 7 together. This was so much fun, and then as it just became more and more, and our enjoyment peaked over 100%, it started decaying.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
because you keep saying the film's 110%, whereas for me, 110% means it blows up.
yeah, this
And that's
is
shit.
blowing up.
It blows up, and that's a bad
I'd
thing.
rather have too much than not enough, you know. And I think this film.
I mean, less is more sometimes, you know.
But I think
not
what's
a film about high octane racing.
Yeah, I think
in
what's
a dead
good with
planet.
this one is that it does keep on raising it and raising it and raising it instead of
Yeah.
just it never stays on one level for too long.
You're forgetting like the middle part of the film. Where fucking,
Yeah.
like nothing happens.
Well, no, that's
Keeps
its
the energy up in that bit.
Yeah,
It's not
it's
like
slowly-
a boring bit. They're like, budget run out. You're gonna do nothing for a bit. It's like it keeps it up.
yeah. That bit is slowly rising because it starts off just well, I guess we'll rebuild my vehicle, and then I've got this vehicle to start growing around in, and then you've got literally a revolution starts happening, and then there's some weird magic going
What
on,
about
and
the
then the
ro-
race
what about the
begins, and then a
romance,
monster
then?
comes, and then it gets blown up by a thing, and then yeah.
Romance doesn't distract from the race though, which is what you're there for. The high octane.
But yeah, but could you genuinely say like, oh, that romance stuff? I mean, that was just brilliant. That was
So
so
contrived.
believable. And well done.
What do
How
you
many
want?
films
like
can
like
you
a
say that in,
50-minute like fucking date scene?
No,
I wanted
What do you want?
a romance. Well,
I didn't want a
really
romance.
one. Exactly.
I wanted the fucking race.
I didn't want a romance, but if
I
there
think
was one, I
it-
wanted it to
it
feel
sets
less
up
forced.
right
and
at the
the dialogue
beginning.
was a bit
Right at
better
the
than
beginning.
what we
And
did.
I know. I will concede that it is probably not the strongest point of the film, but it sets up at the beginning, and it's serviceable. Is what I would say.
Hang on, so you say you don't want a romance, and I don't really know what I think anymore, to be honest. But so, what
Yes.
would you have for the middle part of the film?
Well,
what would you have?
I
as
liked
the
all the
filler?
stuff of them getting ready for the race. I thought that was quite good. I mean, I don't think there's enough meat on this bone to fill a feature-length film, to be perfectly honest. But
Are you saying there were too much, and now you're saying there's not enough?
what I'm saying is there's not enough of the stuff I like.
Alright, I think it will. A film that is this striking and unique will probably come down to personal taste. And I think we have.
It's 2001, but reversed.
2001, but instead of having like over 1 million views on my IMDb or ratings on IMDb, this has got like less than 5,000.
You Mars Sandy, the more popular film is, the better it is.
I mean, more discussion about a film is always good.
We're talking about this film right now!
Yeah, this film would have a lot of discussion if it had, I don't know, had a UK
And there's
release.
a reason people
Yeah.
didn't see it.
Yeah, it's too crazy for people over here, which is, a shame for us, because we lost out. I think there is no dub, at least a cursory look.
Yeah,
Didn't find one, so I guess.
I kind of I'm actually kind of sorry because I think you talk about how it really is kind of just absolutely insane, and it's really cool. But for me, that anime. It does work, but I don't think I'm programmed to like that. I don't know.
I'm reprogramming you, Ethan. This is what I'm doing.
What do you think of Akira then, Ethan?
No, I think Akira is a really, really good film. I do like it. My biggest problem with it is, of course, the ending. And I think the ending is when it just takes itself way too seriously, and I don't think it's really in tone with the rest of the film.
That's in the top 250, so we have to
But
bleep it out.
But Akira has the
Depends on what day it
same.
is.
Akira has the same sort of thing as Funky Boy, except that Akira is set up throughout the film instead of in the last in the 5
It
minutes
still
before
feels
he's
like to me
revealed.
in Akira it's just like pulled out randomly for no real reason, and
No, it's
it
quite an
doesn't
important
fit.
part of the film because there are different
It's
groups of
what
people who are
it's
trying to
building
stop
up
Akira from
to.
being released, and there are people who want him to be released because he's this sort of ancient deity who lives underground, and it's really really cool film.
It's like a pike.
But then you get these weird floating babies that are locked
I
away.
hate
and
float babies.
Yeah,
I mean, I have no idea how it reached the resolution in that film. Is my feeling. I know how the resolution was reached in this one. He won the race. Anyway,
It ends in a stadium, doesn't it? That's when the film ends, and then it becomes this sort of white
Guys, can
screen.
we stop talking about Akira?
Yeah, right, sorry.
but yeah, my point I'm making is the things I don't like about Akira is because it's weirdness, but trying to be serious weirdness, whereas this is just ridiculous weirdness, and that works for me.
Oh.
And I don't think it works for you two.
No, that's fair
It
enough.
does, it's a lot of it works. It's just I'd say about half works. I'd say the stuff that works is the stuff that's kind of like fits in with the actual like thing that hooks
You
me
know what
originally.
I'd say, Harry? You don't have the spirit for this film.
What does that even mean, though?
Jonno, I think you should set the bar for this one.
No, you do because this is
Oh,
your
is that
pick.
how I do it?
Yeah, let's
Yeah,
do
that's
let's
how
always
it
do
goes.
that.
Well,
Well, I did Carnage first. I think you did the Luke first, and you
Yeah,
decided.
I did.
definitely,
I
I did not know that was a pan. Food.
That was a
Alright.
pattern.
Never mind. I'll start then. Well, I feel like we've started with the good and then gone on to the bad with this discussion, but I want to bring it back just before I give my number to the fact that this is probably one of the benchmarks and like what I will compare like high octane action to in future. Is it as engaging and as thrilling as Redline? Is it as always like non-stop but also not getting boring, which is a contradiction that's hard to master? Is it as colourful or as vibrant or as interesting or setting up so many different things without, in my opinion, losing sight of itself? It's so great. I honestly didn't think I would like it as much as I did because I thought I knew from reviews that I had seen of it that the beginning is great and the end rate is great and people said the romance is shit and the middle bit's shit, and I watched it and I was like, actually, you know what, it's pretty consistent in my opinion, as films tend to be, animated films, because you know TV shows more prone to like dropping off in budget, but this keeps it up 110 billion, infinity, gazillion. I've said a bigger number each time, I think. And it's great. And but I do think that it's not like a masterpiece. I don't think it's the best film ever made, even though watching it you think it's the best film ever made. Because I think the last bit could have used with like, I don't like the black in the background as much. Like it's better when Funky Boy comes in and uses his nuke and like colour appears and it's great at contrast. But I think it would have been easily followable in the latter bit if the background was a bit more easier to distinguish things from. I don't know. And yeah, romance isn't. I don't know. I feel like the romance is it's all right. And I think it's just the fact that it's alright stands out in a film that is so many like high octane things next to each other that like, oh, yeah, I guess they have a similar hobby and they do some dream things, so they get together. Yeah, that stands out a bit. But don't want to end on a negative note. It's incredible. It's fast paced. It's a race film that has cars. Probably better than Fury Road, even though I haven't seen it yet. 9 out of 10. All right, who wants to go next?
Sure.
Let's go anti-clockwise.
Yeah, we always go anti-clockwise. We try and do that anyway.
Yeah, alright,
So
so...
many patterns I've never seen before.
Well, I didn't know about the anti-clockwise thing. I just want to go last. That's
Well, we always...
Alright,
the
Whoever's
one wearing
the colour
green...
Fuck! Oh my god. We're too in sync, Jonno. We're like the pilots that were like two pilots.
Yeah, no, anyway, yeah, so, yeah, I enjoyed this. It kept me interested. There's so much to see in every shot, and it's just so beautifully fluid with all of the animations, the way it goes together, and also the sound work is very good as well. I thought there's some...
Oh god,
Loads of
I
effect
didn't even
magic.
mention that. Actually,
Yeah.
the music was pretty good.
Yeah, there's some...
it's-
I mean,
I
there...
was so sure
Such a
that I
great,
heard
like-
2 Fatboy Slim songs in there. I'm 100% sure I heard 2.
Yeah,
like-
just
Yeah.
the silence and
Yeah.
the beat of the song that kick in at the exact right moment.
Yeah.
It uses
They do
silence
it.
well, it uses music well. I mean, some of the music I'd say is more average, but some of it is great. There's also just the sound effects with, I mean, the big death laser and stuff like that is well, it's impressive. I felt, yeah. So I think it's definitely well put together, and I liked it and enjoyed it. And I can see some of the criticisms that it sort of, it is a bit scattered, everything, a lot of things, and does take itself away from the racing, but that's because I think it's more just this universe rather than
Yeah.
the racing. The racing is how a story is told about this universe. Anyway, with that, I think I'm going to give it an 8.
Cool.
So Jonno rating.
I think you better start playing the organs, because this is going to be the villainous part of the podcast now. So this is a really weird one, because it's, I don't know, because I really like a lot of it. It's kind of, it's very much the VA11 Hawley kind of review versus the
You gave
point.
that a 10 out of 10, right?
Whereas a couple of other like 5, like I don't know when this is going up, but I hope we've done Ponyo. When I did Ponyo, it was more like a very apathetic kind of 5. I'm going to give this a 5. Spoilers. Whereas this is very much the V11 Hawley, where the things that work for me like really work, but they're kind of equally counteracted by a lot of shit I hate. It's kind of like when you throw so much at the wall, you know, some of it sticks, and the things that sticked I really enjoyed. I mean, I definitely admire it a lot more than I actually enjoyed watching it. I found it's. I know you keep saying, "Oh, it's so high energy, it was engaging." It wasn't for me. It's completely lost me. It was too much to the point where it kind of got boring. And sometimes less is more. And I definitely feel like this film, as much as I kind of appreciate it, and I like that you guys liked it. It didn't work for me in that way. So I'm also going to give this a 5, which is my default rating at the moment. It seems.
In my opinion, it has mastered the art of wall throwing. But Ethan, what about you?
Alright, so...
Ethan, I like 2001 if you like this.
That's really
Bargaining.
tempting. That's
Kidding.
really
Okay,
tempting.
this is the fucking detonator, and you've got a bomb on yourself.
Oh, right, okay, so...
John has got a gun to my head.
Yeah, I think what I like and what I dislike is very, very close to everything that Harry just said. I'm kind of a bit annoyed that the beginning was really, really engrossing, and then it kind of felt like it just went downhill, and then it got back up a little bit in the final one. It was a good final race. I'll give them that, but there was just too much filler that between for me that kind of brought it a bit too down. And I think it's worse than Ponyo, but I gave that a 6, and I think this is better than a 5. But
Well, you can have different kind of scales of it.
yeah, I was thinking just that. I feel like anime is so
I'm a 6.
different to film that I just need a completely new scale for it.
I'd quite like you to give this a 6, because then it would be pretty much like who likes anime, the order.
Yeah, and even talking to you guys, you have kind of pointed out to me the good things about this, and again, I am someone who likes to appreciate something and admire something from an objective point of view as whether I've enjoyed it or not, and I think there's 2 different things there that I like to consider. So I will give it a 6 out of 10. I think I was going to give it a 5. And
boosted you up, Ethan.
yeah, I'm gonna give it a 6 because I thought the beginning was so fucking good. I really liked it. I was watching it and thinking, God, this is really well done. I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. And then every 20 minutes after that, I was like, oh, that'll be one more down. Oh, that's another one down, I think. And then the last race, I think, kind of brought it back up a little bit. But there was many things I don't like about it. And again, I think I'm just not programmed to like anime that is so in your face, and I just like it when it's a bit more tame. And that's just a reflection of who I am. So I am sorry about that.
No, it's fine. I just think this is probably anime's strength, that it can show such like crazy things that this wouldn't be possible. Like if this was CGI, it would have aged terribly by now. This was like live action, it would look 1/3 as good. You know.
Oh yeah, like Speed Racer, which is very similar to this.
This is so bad though. This is fair.
Yeah, because it's a Wachowski film. Ooh!
Wait, is it actually Wachowski?
I think it is Wachowski's.
Oh my god. Anyway, I promise you, when we do a Studio Ghibli film, you can expect at least a negative from me, because I really do like that
I might do
film.
one of mine.
Tony, I mean, your strategy of picking 4 anime films. I
Yeah.
mean,
What do you want me to pick, Harry? I literally don't know what other good films.
Tower Heist, we're getting 9 out of 10 from me. 9 out of 10 from me with Tower Heist.
I think this. Oh man, Tower Heist also has a car in it.
I just-
guess you could call it a car film.
I mean, I really,
4 car films.
I really don't want to have this conversation
You do Cars 2, please.
4 times.
Well, over time you'll change your opinion, or you'll keep being wrong.
Maybe we'll convert Harry by the end.
I think in round 2 we'll end up seeing. I've got a feeling. I hope this isn't the case. I hope I really like it and give it a 10, which is very unlikely because 10s I don't give them. But,
Is this something that you've picked?
no, it's Tony again. But what I hope is the fact that this scale doesn't remain consistent. Because at the moment the scale is Tony is the highest rated because he likes anime the most. Then it's Johnny, that's Ethan, that's me. And I'm pretty sure that will remain consistent if you keep picking like anime like this.
It is kind of strange because there are 4 anime films that I think are exceptional, and they are all Studio Ghibli films. I probably should watch more to expand my horizons a little bit. But all 4 of them I think are better than like all of Pixar's filmography, and it's just weird how there's. It's weird how I really am in between sometimes. I love certain anime, and then I really kind of just doesn't connect with me things like this, unfortunately. So yeah.
Right.
Hey, once I know it's still recording, but fuck it. Once we've done 4 rounds of LieMDB, can we just do another 4 after that? Can we just keep doing LieMDB until we die?
Well, we'll see how this went. I feel like as this is the end of round 1, we should probably have a look at like what
At the highlights of these
I really
past 4
don't.
films.
I don't think we should include our own scores in it, like because otherwise.
Oh no, I definitely think we should do that.
Mm.
I think
I feel like we should. I don't know. I feel like people would overinflate themselves.
yeah, but that is kind of. I feel like your own person. The whole point of this is it's like your own person.
These are the ones we like anyway, so we're giving them a high score because these are the ones we like.
Yeah, it's not like any of us are picking something we'd give like a 6. It's not like that. So
Alright, fair enough.
wait, so what's the name of this film again?
Redline.
Just one word.
Yeah.
Redline. Okay. So
Just an aside, there's like a short that's like 1 episode long, so like 24 minutes long, but it's like another crazy high action racing film, and for the life of me I can't remember the name of it. And I was wondering if trying to describe it to you, it would sound like
Is it Kimi no Nawa?
your name.
That's right, I learned the Japanese.
Oof.
That's because I was
Which
looking
bit
at
is your?
I was
Which bit
look-
is name?
Oh fuck, there's 4 words. And your name is only 2. Oh, Japanese is so confusing.
Oh man.
Trust me, I know.
Ethan, that sounds like such a cool thing. If I make a weird biological monster thing, I'm going to call it that random phrase in another language.
right.
Have we stalled well enough, Harry?
Huh? Oh no, yeah. I for some reason the magic calculator, which is going to tell us who's in the lead, is not working right now.
Suspense.
Well, I can.
Should we use
I
someone
know
with
of-
A-level maths?
Yeah,
Like me?
I
okay,
know
I'll
of
probably-
memory who
yeah.
should be in the lead.
Can't you just format the cells in Excel so that it makes a total for you instead of?
All right, I've just done some mental maths. Okay, so in the lead at the moment is Ethan O'Brien with Carnage, which is currently on 32.
Mhm.
So he's got 32 points if we're playing this game. Joint second is me and Jonno, who both
Woo.
have 31.
Because someone gave it one of them a 5.
I mean, that's genuinely in my opinion.
I don't see how you've not got a soul, Harry.
I mean,
How
like,
do you not get the
spirit
emotion
films.
in that?
Hang on, Mr. To the Moon. Okay,
All right.
over there.
That's just not.
Heartless
It's
monster.
not-
all right, just saying though, with I know in 2008 with Ponyo, like I felt I had very little to say, but I just kept talking, so like I wanted to just have something to talk about. Whereas the Silent Running, I did the complete opposite and didn't say enough. So I didn't really justify why I gave it a 5, but like I can't be fucking arsed now. I mean, it wants you to care about a character who kills 3 people. I mean, like personally for me, I can't do that. Anyway, and then
What's the Thanos line? What did it cost? Everything or something? I don't know. But yeah,
and then Redline Tony's on 28 at the
that's
moment.
pretty low. Damn.
I mean, no, you're only 2 behind.
wait, what?
3 behind.
Wait, what?
Do we
God
trust
damn it.
Harry's
A-level
maths?
maths. Yeah, I think you're on 28. Don't hold me to that.
Johnny,
Yeah.
your next pick, is it a good one?
Well, Johnny's not next, is he?
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. Well, I said his next pick,
Yeah.
so whenever he was next. I was going to tell him that there's going to be 2 words I'm going to say. I'm going to find the best scene in the film, figure it out, and then when it comes to it, I'm going to say 2 words. Do you know what those 2 words are?
No.
General Grievous.
Oh wow, that's got to be a thing now.
I've heard that this film is one that you can actually. I think I found it.
What the?
Oh yeah,
the
it's
20-minute one.
Yeah, it's called Tailenders. It's just like it's but not as good.
This is when you say it's called Mars of Destruction.
But it's also like 24 minutes long. I think. Am I being an idiot? No, I think I've seen this. No, yeah, I've seen it. Yeah, it's like that, but good. Maybe throwing out that as like a mini version of this.
Tony,
Tailenders.
I think the real lesson we can learn from this is if you want to win, you want to pick up those 2, or is it 3, or is it 4 points, and take the lead in round 2. You've got to pick Mars of Destruction.
Oh man, 10 out of 10 all around.